So we're gonna be talking about just quickly, our favorite albums. You know, the music that we were bumping to when we were traveling, or jogging, or walking, right, or just vibing out, or just enjoying ourselves, and or just calming our minds, right. You know, these were the albums that kept us sane. You know, throughout at least for me, rather hectic year, rather problematic and kind of iffy year, right? So it is what it is. But yeah, I know, Ricardo, you probably do have a long list as me because I have 20.
Yeah,
You know, not gonna do
fair enough.
25 this year because yeah,
Yeah,
for some
because my
reason I just didn't really get to listen to a lot of albums, right? And
right.
yeah, like yes, there's the Fiverr stuff that I do, right? And some of the Fiverr stuff do show up here on this list, right? But like when new releases come out, I just didn't get around to checking them because of time. Like I'm sorry. Like case in point, I did not check out Pink Friday 2. I wanted to, but
Right.
I just didn't get the time. Like I'm sorry, right? You know. So it is what it is. So apologies if your favorite albums aren't on this list though, but we're just talking about the ones that we did get the time to listen to, right? So
Right.
Ricardo,
Uh,
take it away if you don't mind. You want to share your list?
sure. Yeah, my quick list is quite short. So, Nas Magic Tree. Right,
All
love
right,
that.
all right, all right.
Yeah, this guy Yami Bekani. I just generally listen to his music. I really like that dude. He's a French dude, I think. Uh,
Okay,
Andrew
well,
3000.
what genre?
Like, I want to say, boy, soul. I want to say a soul. Yeah, I listen to it. It's popular. It get popularized because of TikTok, but I started listening to him anyway.
All
And he
right,
have like a kind of weird lisp with his singing and that kind of things. Yeah, he hard. Three Stacks. Um, Andrew 3000.
all right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. New Blue Sun. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty good. Local boy, Mike Wise, the degree of difficulty. Really like the album.
Uh huh. Uh huh.
Yeah. Well, you remind me of it, and I was like, I didn't know the album came out this year. I thought it came out last year. But yeah, Birds, Bees, Clouds, and Trees, like that.
Harrison. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Amari, Fountain Baby. She's like a soul singer as well, right?
All right.
And then last on the thing, Cara Jackson. Why does the earth give us people to love?
You
I
know, I've
really
heard
like
a
that
lot of
album.
great things about that, you know, man, but I
Great album,
didn't get the
yes.
time.
Yeah, great album. That really dug this. Yeah, that is it. I didn't really listen to too much other than that this year, other than like general older music that on my phone or classical music or something like that. That is it.
All right, all right. So
Mm-hmm.
I have a few honorable mentions this year. So Magic Tree from Nas is there. I liked it for what it was and how sentimental and nostalgic it was, right?
Right,
But there's another Nas that's on this list, and it's kind of obvious which one it is, right? Busta
right,
Rhymes, Blockbuster. I thought that was pretty
right.
solid as well. You know, it
Nice.
was it was it was Busta Rhymes basically hopping on more trendy urban sounds, so whether it's like Afrobeat or whatever, and collaborating with newer artists as well too. And I think that for a guy like him at his age, that's what he needs to do to keep himself fresh in the game, right? And lastly, I really wanted this to be on my list, but unfortunately, but there's a reason why. But when we get to the list proper, you'll know. Mike Wise and Rook Beats, Mad Scene, right? Really, really enjoy that. Seven is one of my favorite songs of the year. That's the last track and actually the seventh track off of that record there. But yeah, again, I really wanted to put it on my top 20 list, but slight spoiler. There's another one that actually shows up, so that's why I had no choice but to exclude it. But in no way does that mean that it's a terrible album. 'Cause no, it's fantastic, right? So number 20, Andrew 3000, New Blue Sun.
Oh,
Who'd have thought
nice.
that Three Stacks would introduce a lot of people to ambient music, right? So
Right.
yeah, yeah. It's just so atmospheric and so moody. Just the kind of stuff you just want to like lay back to and relax to after a long hard day of work. Like you just want to vibe out before you go to sleep or whatnot. You know what I mean? It's that kind of stuff, right? The,
Yeah.
the, the, the titles of these tracks are ridiculous, but it's just really, the vibe though. And I'll disclose this though. Andrew really has a future as an arranger, right? Just being able to collaborate with all
Yes.
these musicians and just get the best out of them. Even though primarily they are jam sessions, right? But just the stuff that we get out of it, it's just so smooth and laid back though. So I had to put this on my list, right? Number 19, Magic 2 from Nas, right? Thoroughly enjoyed that. More than 3, to be honest, right? People will say 3 is better, but I actually prefer 2. It was just so fun, but it was fun and it was vibrant and, it was just, again, it was Nas and Hit Boy just coming back together, right? So you could tell that you were just having a blast together. And I just love the fact that it was just it was Hit Boy throwing all these different beats at Nas, and this Nas finding ways to just make them work for him. And I thought that, yeah, it was just fantastic from top to bottom. The 50 Cent verse is questionable, but he was having fun, so I'll give him a pass for that. He was having fun with that, right? Number 18. Had to go to England for this one. Slow Tie. Ugly, right? Slow Tie is a guy I've been following for a while now, when it comes to the UK grime scene though. But just the way how he looks and just the way how he raps and talks and all that kind of stuff, you could tell that, his heart is with the punk scene, right? And yeah, with this one, he leaned a lot into post-punk music. So yeah, there's more of a rock element to it, right? And I thought that it totally works, right? Especially with the theme of just him just being all introspective, And yeah, just sort of like self-loading in a sense. Like, yeah, I feel like shit, and I don't understand why I feel like shit, but I understand why I feel like shit at the same time too, right? And him kind of like just going through the muck and the mire and just kind of coming out of it like, yeah, once I really take care of myself, I could be better, right? So it's cathartic, it's very dark, emotionally it's brutal at times, but it totally works, right? And you really, really see like, yeah, just the artistry in this guy, of Slow Tie, in this guy, right? Number 17, my first and only soundtrack on this let's say, Metro Boomin presents Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Here's the thing with this, right?
I forget about that.
So I would just listen to the soundtrack, right? Once the movie came out, and I listened to the soundtrack after I saw the movie, right? So I was like, alright, this song is here, blah blah blah, right? And I was just like taking in the vocals and like, yeah, they're cool, the song's cool, right? But then Metro Boomin decided to bless us with an instrumental version of this, and that's when the whole thing clicked for me, boy. That's when, because I always really dug Metro Boomin, right? But like when I really like sat down and took in the beats themselves, right? That's when I really like gained a real respect, like a bigger understanding of his craft and whatnot, right? So yeah, the instrumentals really make me love this soundtrack even more, boy, because yeah, this is some of the best instrumentals that I've heard in a long while, right? It's just so well done, right? And yeah, I mean, just performance-wise, everybody just kills it, whether it's Nas or Nas Morales, or whether it's A$AP Rocky, or just a slew of guests that are on this record here, right? But to me, the key to all this is Metro Boomin and how he just keeps everything afloat, man. Yes, this is a fantastic soundtrack for a fantastic movie, right? Number 16, an artist that a lot of people may not have heard of, but you really should get on board. McKinley Dixon, beloved Paradise Jazz, right? I didn't even know about this guy till Spectrum Pulse and Needle Drop. Those are two music YouTubers that I follow. They really put me on. They put me onto this guy. And what he does so well, right? So it's jazz rap on the surface, right? But it's just this, for lack of a better term, poetic approach that McKinley has to his subject matter, right? To his music, right? It's just so dense and so layered, just like the music itself, right? There's a lot of layers to what he says, right? And, I love that. I love the challenge in that too, right? But the album itself is so short. It's short, right? But it just packs such a wallop, though, you know what I mean? In terms of the emotion, in terms of the themes and whatnot. And the music, though, is just so organic and rich and just moving, emotionally moving, right? So, yes, fantastic record. Don't sleep on this record, right? Number 15. One that I thought you would have put on your list, Ricardo, and if you didn't listen to it, shame on you, guy. I thought you was a fan. El Michael's Affair and Black Thought, Glorious Game. I remember you put me on to El Michael's Affair with the Entity 37 Chamber stuff, right? Yeah. From the very beginning of this podcast, yes, you put me on to it, right? Yeah.
Okay, so my brain didn't have the worst memory because that was this year.
That was this year. Yes, it was.
Wow.
Yes, it was.
Well, should have been on the list.
Yeah. I never thought that a guy like him, I wasn't following up his work, right? But I always dug his production, and I thought like production-wise, he killed it on this, right? And of course, it's Black Thought, who, like Nas, turned 50 this year. Yeah, just coming through with just effortless flows, and just how he approaches subject matter, like his roots, so to speak, right? Race, the black experience, all that kind of stuff, right? And just this laid back, jazzy vibe, though. Just even the title track, though, is just so laid back. Like, I love the vocals and the hook, by the way, right? So yeah, excellent album. It's just a mood piece, but it totally works, right? Number 14. Didn't expect that we'd have gotten this here, and this is actually a continuation of what is my second favorite album of 2021. Tyler the Creator, Call Me If You Get Lost, the Estate Seal,
Nice.
right? So this was him
Nice,
pretty
nice.
much giving us an EP of unreleased material, and yeah, it's just as good, if not great, than the actual album itself, right?
Yeah.
And it's just Tyler doing what he does best, just evolving with his sound, you know what I mean? Whether it's with the Pharrell worship, with the kind of pop rap thing, but also doing
Yeah.
his whole jazz rap stuff, and lyrically what he's doing and all that too totally works for me. It kind of expands the whole luxuriousness of it all. Like, I've made it, I'm rich, but it's still the come up too. Like, there's still a lot of things, a lot of baggage that I have to deal with still. There's still that resonant in the music, right? But yeah, from start to end, the Estate Seal is just a vibe, though. It's just so laid back. Yeah, I'm using this term a lot too, but it is what it is, right? Yeah, just so laid back, smooth, and yeah, just a great listen from start to end, right? Number 13. You brought it up already because I mentioned to you, Harrison, Birds, Bees, the Clouds, and the Trees. Absolutely
Yep.
enjoy this album though. And this was my introduction to Harrison as well. I didn't know this guy had it like that though, in the sense that this man have a way of making beats that have this sort of nostalgic vibe to it though. Like every beat it always feels like it sort of opens up some sort of memory, like some experience in your life, some place that you were in, something that you experienced, and it just captures that vibe though. Even though the tracks might be fairly short, or they might have like a feature, like say Guilty Simpson or whatnot, right? But yeah, though, just the beats themselves just sort of capture a sort of an emotion though, or kind of vibe, right? I don't know about you, but for me, 2016 is the best track though. It is just such a smooth nocturnal beat that I could just dance to, you know what I mean? But yeah, I love this track. I would have slept on this if you didn't bring it up actually in one of our episodes of BBB Radio this year. I wouldn't have even known who this guy was. So yeah, thank you so much for putting me on to him, right? Number 12, we have Heezy Hines with Exit Wounds, right? Fantastic EP from Heezy. And I'll bring him up later on this, right? To those slight spoiler, right? But just lyrically, though, what he does, how he rhymes with the pockets and all that kind of stuff is so superb, though. That's technically how he does that, right? And his beat selection is great. Time for me is one of my favorite songs of this record, and one of my favorite songs of the year, though. Just how he flows on that is so great. There's the references that he makes to other rappers and other albums and all that kind of stuff is great. It's not just technical wordplay, but he also gets a little in depth as well too. Just the amount of stuff that he does here is just so great, and he just does it in such a compact package, right? So it's like that. Number 11, an album that I didn't expect to enjoy so much though, but I did. Grandad Wooly, or OITO, that's OITO, that's an acronym for Once Infinity Takes Over. It's a double disc album, so we have Red and Blue. Grandad Wooly, for those who don't know, is a YouTuber that I used to follow back in the days, right? He used to cover rap albums, and he's also a rapper as well too, right? But he sort of put his channel on pause, and now he's with Dead End Hip Hop right now. He talks about albums and games there, right? So I always knew that he was a rapper and he always loved rap, right? But I never listened to a project from him, right? But this one, boy, felt like a perfect introduction to his work though. I like that it is a come-up story. It is basically, he's a father now, he has a kid. And just about his experiences in, just staying true to who he is and just being a creative, staying true to rap and all that kind of stuff. You feel that struggle. I can relate to this in more ways than one, even though I'm not a rapper, right? But I am a content creator, so I know that feeling, right? But just knowing that, just the idea of, wanting to sacrifice your creativity for 9 to 5 and the temptation involved and all that kind of stuff. And him just saying no, but I really want to make this work, not just for myself, but for my family, right? So it's just so emotionally resonant, right? But there's a lot of great tracks as well too. There's a lot of bops. He actually has a track called Bob Barker, which I absolutely love. I think that track is great. The beat is fire in my opinion. And yeah, it's just Grandad Wooly just showing just how great of a rapper he is, right? Is the come up story, is the underdog story that really makes it work, right? And now we have the top 10. Just run through these quickly, right? So number 10, we have Mike Day and Third House Wakefield. Fantastic record from Mike Day. I interviewed him in my Hip Hop Sub 10 podcast. He hooked up with producer Third House, and he just did this record, which is just basically a tribute to his hometown. Basically, he's just coming back home, and it's just this sort of a semi-autobiographical look at, his life and experiences there, the change he wants to make there, not just as a rapper, but also as a filmmaker. Because yes, he actually has his own, studio. Well, sorry, I shouldn't say studio. He has his own company, Division Films. You know what I mean? And it's just the positive change that he wants to make in his hometown. But at the same time, it's like, I have to come to terms with the good and the bad that exists here, whether it's in the past or the present. But here I am now, and I could actually make a positive change, right? And I love that. I think that's a really strong theme, and it just drives the entirety of this record. So absolutely love this, right?
Right.
Number 9, a record that I was thinking a lot of people would have jumped on to because of the two names involved. But yeah, I got onto it, and yeah, I thought it was fire. Talib Kweli and Madlib, Liberation 2. Yes, the duo reunite after like what? I think it's 2006 or 2007 when they did Liberation, the first one. But yeah, they came back strong with this one. If you remember, Black Star, that would be Taliban, Mos Def, came back and reunited with Madlib on their last record, No Fear of Time. But yeah, this one, it was just Talib and Madlib alone. I mean, I see most of Yasin Bey wasn't there. That wasn't really a big letdown for me. Madlib came with some great jazzy, beats and whatnot. And Talib Kweli once again shows why he is one of the GOATs when it comes to rap, man. He just came and did his damn thing, right? So yes, Liberation 2, definitely check that out. Number 8, I never thought I'd incorporate a Christmas album into this, or I should say a Christmas EP into this. But here we are, folks. It's 2023, right? So a lot of surprises. Dookie Bros, Merry Shitmas, the EP, right? So this is a Canadian duo. It consists of Franchise and Shiny Beat Yoda. I've actually interviewed Shai before. I've wrote about this work before on Fiverr. And yeah, they have this group called Dookie Brothers or Dookie Bros, which is basically this hardcore hip hop group. So it's really leaning towards like 90s hardcore hip hop, right? And yeah, they just decided out the blue, hey, we're gonna do a Christmas record, and they actually did it. And it's great. It's one of the best Christmas rap albums I've ever heard, right? Or EPs or whatever, right? And it's really because, not just because of the lyrics though, but also the production. Shai handles all of it. I thought that the production was great, where it's nostalgic. Well, it's not really nostalgic, but it samples, like, it does sampling of Christmas music so superbly. It doesn't just rely on this, generic samples that's supposed to evoke nostalgia. There's a lot more going on to it, right? And lyrically, it again, it's just the underdog story, but they work it into Christmas and how they look at Christmas and the experiences and all that kind of stuff. And it's just like this nice subversion of what we expect from Christmas music in general. And they just did that so well over the course of like this, this pretty short but just fantastic EP from start to end, man. Absolutely love this, right? Number 7, Heezy Hines. Mike Wise, He's Wise.
Nice.
Absolutely enjoy this one, man. I didn't expect that they would actually do a record together, but they came through. They shut shit down. Rhythms is one of my favorite songs of the year. Mike's verse and Heezy's verse in particular are verse of the year contenders in my opinion.
Yeah, that track with that's the track with Jelani in it.
Yes, yeah. That one. Oh gosh,
yeah,
I
that's
can't name of it right now. Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, but yeah, they and it's just the chemistry that they had too, right? I just love the fact that it's a rapper from San Fernando and it's a rapper from New Jersey who may or may not have seen themselves in the flesh, but they can relate to each other in so many ways. So, and then when they come to the mic though, they just come through with just this undeniable chemistry, though. Just so much witty bars, so much memorable lines and whatnot. The choice of beats were great though, and it's not just wordsmith. It's just that it's not just wordplay for the sake of it, but you really get some genuine emotion though, especially from those last 3 tracks. So yeah, absolutely love this record. Had to add that in, right? Number 6, we have Mike Flips, Nordic One, and C's Life Cycles, right? So I've covered Nordic One's work before. He's a West Coast rapper, but in this case he hooked up with 2 beatmakers by the name of Mike Flips and C's. So in this case here, yeah, it's basically, as the title says, it's about one's life cycle, right? It's talking about we are born, we have a finite amount of time to do what we have to do on this earth, and then we die, right? But how he explores this, I thought was pretty fast. He does well too, that's basically with his come up in the rap game, right? And staying true to who he is. It's very 90s boom bap, right? That's what it is. If you're a fan of that, it totally works, right? But I like that just the beats themselves don't sound stale or don't sound nostalgic. They sound very fresh, right? Even though it does harken back to that 90s East Coast style style when it comes to hip-hop production, right? And yeah, it's just that story that is being told, right? And it's not just like wearing you down with the idea of life and, existentialism and all that, though. You get some bops in this as well, too. So it's just this really like, laid back kind of cut where you can just sort of like nod your head to the beats and the messages as well, too. So yeah, fantastic record, right? Number 5. I actually covered it late last year, but the album itself came out in February, right? And I had to bring this up to Terry Blade, Ethos, son of a sharecropper, right? So I've been following and I've been covering Terry's work for a while now. Just as far as just him being a queer R&B artist / soul artist, though. Yeah, he's just fantastic, right? But I just love that, with his records, he always finds ways to explore his identity, right? To explore that experience of just not just being, queer, but also being black, being a black American, right? In, today's, climate and whatnot, right? He always finds ways to just explore those things, right? And I think like with this one here, he kind of outdid himself, right? Because here, he's basically taking bluegrass and blues and country music, right? So stuff that you would not associate black Americans with in terms of creating it. And yeah, he makes it his own, and he uses these ballads and uses these stories to, explore his experiences in his own life and all that kind of stuff, right? And he just does that so well. It's provocative, it's superbly produced, but really, at the end of the day, it's Terry though, because he comes through with some of the best vocal performances. Like I've heard all year though. It's just fantastic, just across the board. Absolutely love this record, right? Number 4. I'm kind of rooting for this to win a Grammy for Best Rap Album. Killer Mike.
Right.
Michael. Yes.
Nice.
I had to put Killer Mike on this too. Yes, he came through with a great record here. Very gospel in influence as well too, which I really dug. I love the production here. And it's just Killer Mike, just showing why he is one of the greats when it comes to not just Southern hip hop, but just hip hop in general, right? I like the fact that he only have one track with LP, so you only get one Run the Jewels track, but everything else though is still solid from top to bottom. Whether it's from the production to the guest features, and it also features one of the best verses of the year from my boy Andrew 3000, right? He comes with a great verse there, So yeah, great album overall, and I kind of rooted for this to win Best Rap Album. I mean, yes, King CC Street could win, but I think Killer Mike have a huge chance of winning here, right? And now we have the top 3. This one came out earlier this year, in January, and the moment it came out, I was like, this is an instant Album of the Year contender here. So for my number 3 is Sky Zoo and the other guys, Mind of a Saint. So I've been following Sky Zoo for years now. He's probably one of the most underrated New York MCs ever, in my opinion. But he's just fun. He's just superb. He's just a superb lyricist, right? What this guy does here is actually does a concept album based off the TV series Snowfall. Yes, he does that.
Right. Yeah, which I liked.
Yeah, so he actually plays the role of Franklin Saint, right? Hence the title, right? And he tells his story, right? It's basically, yes, I'm might come up in the drug game and all that kind of stuff, though. So yes, it's a lot of drug dealing stuff and talk and whatnot, right? But what the album does so well, right? In addition to doing all these references and calls to specific moments in the series itself, right? Well, unfortunately, I have not seen the series, so I think he probably stopped at the second to last season. I could be wrong. But yeah, he stops at a particular point, so he doesn't stop at the series finale. I know that for sure, right? But yeah, what he really shows is just the downfall of this character, the downfall of this lifestyle, right? And it culminates into, in my opinion, probably the most chilling album closer I have heard all year, right? Just the outro, that final track. Every time I hear it, it gives me chills, right? So what it just involves in a nutshell, it's about the 80s, right? When the story was set, and about the war on drugs, right? But where this album stops off though is quite chilling though. Every time I hear it, I just get goosebumps. Thinking about it right now, I just getting chills right now, right? It's just a fantastic album closer though. So yeah, absolutely love this, right? Number 2, in another life, this would have been my number 1 boy, but something ended up beating it though. But yeah, this is an easy top 3 for me, right? JPEG Mafia and Danny Brown, Scaring the Hoes.
Right.
Ever since JPEG Mafia went indie way, he just pretty much just show everybody, yo, I don't need a record label breathing on my neck to show me how dread I am, And he proves that here, boy. He comes with some of the wildest, most adventurous beats I've ever heard from him, right? So I'll just let you know. I'll just mention two tracks, right? Garbage Pail Kids is the hardest song I have heard all year. I'll put it like this, right? If you remember from How High, right? Where you had that moment where Redman had the speaker up to, Method Man when you're sleeping and he's playing Du Hast.
Right, yeah.
Picture that with Garbage Pail Kids and you'll understand where I'm coming from. This is the kind of song that you just want to wake people up to. You want to annoy the shit out of people with too. You crank that up to 11 dread and you let that shit blast. It is amazing, right? And it's not just on the production side, but JP Mafia raps as well too. I like that, he always mentions, social media trolls and, he always taking shots at them, right? But it's the pairing between him and Danny Brown that works. Because Danny Brown does that weird ELP voice that he does. And they're just like in tune lyrically though, with just all these crass, vulgar, over-the-top vocals and lyrics, but it totally works, right? And the second track I'm going to mention here too is Kingdom Hearts Key Dread, which samples one of the most memorable anime intro songs ever, dread, and he makes that into a certified banger. I don't know how this guy did it, but it's amazing. If there's two tracks you need to listen to, Ricardo, it's it's Garbage Pail Kids and Scaring the Host too, because that's a title track too. And Kingdom Hearts Key, boy. Like, listen to Kingdom Hearts Key in particular and tell me that's not the hardest shit you ever hear in your life, dread. That's all I'll say, right? And I'm also gonna add the additional EP that they put out too, which is Scaring the Host DLC pack. Yes, they decided to put out a 4-track EP, and it is just as goofy and over the top and entertaining AF as the album itself, right? I'll put it like this and then I'll move on, right? They actually incorporate a SpongeBob reference, right? A sample. Every time I hear that, I am cracking up over this. It's one of the funniest sample bits I've heard in anything all year, right? So yes, I had to put this, Scaring the Host and the DLC pack here as my number 2. So if you're familiar with, this podcast here, it's kind of obvious what my number 1 is, right? But I'll just give like a brief rundown as to why it's up there, right? So I will not lie to you, just creatively and life-wise, right? This was a very challenging year, right? And there were a lot of moments where, I could have just thrown in the towel and just given up, right? I could have just thrown it in right there, right? But, they always like to say you're not alone, right? When you're feeling down or depressed or whatnot, you're not alone, right? There's something I don't like to hear, but it's kind of true, right? And no other artist this year came and just basically says, yeah, I totally understand where you're coming from, Dread, because I go through this as well, too. It's not easy for me to call myself TNT's lyricist. I'm going to show you behind the curtain as to how I really feel and why I keep doing what it is I do, Dread. Why I keep putting up with this bullshit. Why I still pursue what I pursue. Yes, my number 1 pick for best album of 2023 goes to none other than Mike Wise's The Degree of Difficulty. I absolutely love this album, Dread. This album connected with me in a way that I did not expect. Just thematically, just the idea of, yes, you're going to see my vulnerable side. Even though when I'm spitting raw rhymes at you, you're going to see that there is that underdog spirit in me. There is someone who wants to be listened to, someone who wants to be acknowledged, and yet will just be ignored because I'm a rapper from Trinidad, right? But still, he just came through with some of the best bars I've heard all year. Shout out to Boga, though, for his production from start to end, though. Just stellar across the board, right? Just getting great verses from Profess, Lendor, Heezy Hine shows up as well on this too, right? And everybody just kills it on this too. But again, it's just the heart of it, the vulnerability in it though that really connected me. I would say if you are creative, you would connect with this record in more ways than one. And for me, I needed this. I needed this album. I needed to understand that I'm not the only one who calls himself a creative and yet feels like, yeah, why am I not taken seriously? Why can't I, make a career out of this? Why can't I take this further than I could, you know what I mean? And just knowing that there is someone who can show the potential of how, pursuing one's dreams could lead to, right? And not just, collaborating with great artists or like-minded artists, but coming up with just great bodies of work like this, right? That's just the motivation that I needed, you know what I mean? And will continue to go back to, right? So yeah, for me, no album really hit me as hard as The Degree of Difficulty, man. Mike Wise, once again, you nailed it. You knocked out the park. So, 2 years, not so much in a row, but 2 years in this decade, you get my number one picks, man. So, in 2020, we had Heat 68. So this year now, we have the degree of difficulty, man. And, just keep doing your thing, Dread. It's a burden, and I know you're going to bear it, but you're strong enough, and I know you can do it, man. And yeah, I mean, the sky's the limit for you, man. So shout out to Mike Wise, shout out to Boga, shout out to everybody who worked on that album, and pretty much shout out to everybody who just delivered great albums and great music for me to just keep me sane, pretty much, right, throughout this year, man. So salute to you all, man.